All right, guys, thank you for joining me today. So, as per usual, let's go through the sound check, get that out of the way, and then we'll talk about a couple things. Nothing too crazy. I'm going to talk about the Chinese lab in depth in a little bit, but we're going to talk about some other nonsense that's going on. Just stupid bullshit. Nothing crazy, nothing too serious. And probably nothing prepper related outside of that Chinese lab that was found. But hopefully, Mr. Landfill, Jeep Girl, thank you for the 5x5. Appreciate it as always, guys. So, um, what are we gonna? I heard this story probably a few months ago, and I remember thinking to myself, "This is stupid. This is the stupidest thing I've ever." Thank you for the Skyline by Skyline. Appreciate it. Thank you for the 13 by 13, 17 by 17, 17 by 76. Thank you for that. Thank you for the 4 by 2. Thank you for the 5 by 5. Ozark, Comet, Flow Grown. Appreciate it, guys. Teddy Roosevelt, thank you for the sexual chocolate. Not sure why. um, Bernard, thank you for the 556. And everybody else, thank you for the good mornings. So, um, yeah, I heard this story, guys. Uh, I, Not that I thought it was bullshit because I knew that there are people out there that do crazy shit that'll go to crazy lengths to do crazy shit. Um, and somehow this guy, I think he has a YouTube channel, and yeah, it's not making a whole lot of sense. But this guy spent $14,000 to transform himself into a collie, right? A dog, like Lassie, right? Ghost, thank you for the 5x5. So it's a Japanese native who transformed himself into a canine after forking over or spending $14,000 for a costume that's made to look like a collie, right? And again, that's the dog like Lassie. 14,000, whatever, whatever. So the private citizen goes by the online name Taco or Toko. Sorry, it says the unusual garment helped actualize his dream of becoming an animal. So this guy who's a psych patient always wanted to become a dog. Now I don't know if he watched too many Lassie episodes, but whatever the case was, guys, he spent this amount of money to whatever become. Just look at what this guy looks like. I don't. I'm not sure why you would do this, um, but yeah, that cost $14,000. I don't. And what's missing from his, by the way, he has a harness. Now you can go on his video on either TikTok or Instagram or YouTube and take a look at this stupidity. But there's also a harness that goes along with this. Apparently, he acts like a dog for the duration of videos that he does. I hope at some point he sits down and eats what I don't know. Um, this is beyond mental. I mean, like I the article said it was his dream to always become a dog or an animal. Sorry, whatever. So with that, guys, the article goes on to say how he was scared and nervous for going out for his first walk as a dog. You should be scared and nervous, you psych patient. This is not normal. But we are going to continue, guys, to normalize this kind of actions and normalize this kind of behavior. Anyway, his costume comes complete with a harness that's not in the picture, and around it goes around his furry abdomen. He admits to being nervous and scared venturing out in public. He goes, and then someone asked him, or he asked the question of, "Do you remember your dream from when you were little? You wanted to be a hero or a wizard?" He wrote. He goes, describing his life dog, his life dog, not lifelong, but life dog dream to seemingly unrealistic. I remember writing in my grade school graduation book that I wanted to be a dog and walk outside. As an introduction to this unusual hobby, Toko answered a series of questions in a video posted last year, admitting he was always wait, admitting he always had a vague dream of becoming an animal. A vague dream since he was a child. When I fulfilled that dream, this is how it turned out, he wrote in a clip, adding that he chose to become a collie due to the negligible size difference between the breed and human. Oh, negotiable size, sorry, between that breed and humans. He must be a little guy then. He really must, because if you watch him walk around, whatever. Moving right along, because I don't, I, anyway. So guys, NYC has an absorbent amount of crime going on right now, right? As you guys can see, if you have Instagram, TikTok, maybe Facebook, you'll see videos upon videos of smash and grabs all over the country. Now, there was a big to do smash and grab, I think it was in California somewhere, where they grabbed 900, almost $1 million worth of jewelry. So they smashed all the windows and the glass casing, sorry, and they took about $900,000 worth of jewelry. I guess one of the workers in the store kept shouting "stop," as if the criminals were going to stop and go, "Oh man, guys, he's telling us to quit it. We should stop," and take their bags and walk out. Anyway, this is where baseball bats and all kinds of shit come in handy, because guys, it's no longer about let them take it because insurance will pay for it. It's about respect, and when there's no respect, guys, crime elevates. And that's what it initially comes down to. It's not just bad guys doing bad shit. It's also about respect. And these kids today have zero respect. And they have to be taught respect the hard way. Now, some of these kids are too old for a belt. So a belt's not going to work. So you got to go to the next level up. The baseball bat. Right? Anyway. Some people are like, are you advocating for violence? Yes. But nonetheless, guys, here in New York City, crime is out of control. That being said, finally, New York is cracking down. But not on drug dealers, car thieves, and shoplifters, but on restaurants that hand out plastic utensils to customers who don't ask for it. So, this is what they're cracking down on. They're cracking down on the simple fact that restaurants are giving plastic utensils to customers who are not asking for it. Now, if you ask for it, you don't get a fine. But if you don't ask for it and they put this plastic utensil in your bag, you're getting a fine for it. Now, the fine, guys, is up to $250. The warning will be issued until July 2024, and then after July 2024, they start to get a fine. Now, imagine you got people getting shot, raped, killed, stores being broken into, stores getting shit stolen from, carjackings are up like you wouldn't believe, fist fighting for no apparent reason in the street, and they're focused on restaurants giving out plastic forks because it harms the environment. Not the quality of life, not the quality of living, because it harms the environment. The quality of life and living is disrupted on a daily basis with crime in New York City and all the bullshit that's going on in the city. But they're focused on plastic forks and knives. Now, the article goes, yes, you read right. Starting this week, the city skips the stuff laws will prohibit. Skips the stuff. Laws will prohibit restaurants and third-party food delivery service for providing disposable eating utensils, napkins, and condiment packets, and extra food and beverage containers to customers with their takeouts, unless it's requested. So now you have to request all of these things, and if you don't get it. And if you get it without asking, a restaurant can pay up to $250. Now, to some restaurants, that's a drop in a bucket. How many people are going to turn around and snitch out the restaurant? Look what they did. They gave me these utensils, right? And even if someone asks for it, could they get the restaurant in trouble? I don't see why anybody would. But nonetheless, guys, this is happening in New York City. So restaurants can also be fined up to $250 for not providing an easy way to request plastic items. I didn't read this part. I just fucking copy and pasted. Restaurants can also be fined up to $250 for not providing an easy way to request plastic items, and up to $400 for not providing plastic straws if asked, or failing to have enough straws on hand. So you're being fined for giving out plastic utensils and condiments when not requested, but if there's not an easy way for them to request it, they're getting fined $250 for plastic utensils and $400 for not having enough plastic straws on hand. What in the actual fuck? Now, listen, moving out of the city is the only option at this point. So this is where some people, like myself, will draw the line. They're like, wait a second. You're going to start finding restaurants for stupidity either way you go? So a lot of restaurants, extra stuff is wasted and wind up in landfill. But Manhattan Institute John Tierney has been writing for years, and the hype about plastic is just that, hype. A restaurant, along with other businesses, are already clobbered with endless rules and regulations and fines for non-compliance. So yes, a lot of restaurants here in New York City often get fined for bullshit. But yet a guy could walk into a store, smash a glass case, steal the jewelry out of it, and never get caught. And if he gets caught, he's released almost immediately. But meanwhile, you're trying to run a business and they're hammering you with fines. Now, the reason why the city is hammering these people with these ridiculous fines are because the city is struggling financially. So here goes the kicker, because of the immigration crisis here in New York City, the city's losing something like $12 million a day because of this crisis. It's probably more now. It's probably more around 15 million. So now that they're losing this much money, guys, they're at a loss for cash. They're hitting restaurants with three different fines. Three, right? So again, one for not having enough straws and not providing an easy request to get straws. One for not providing an easy request or an easy way of getting plastic utensils. But I didn't mean to do this one. But if you give the utensils without asking, you get a fine. Imagine that, right? So, yeah, man. Anyway, Mayor Adams backed the bill, likes to claim the city is open for business. How do you let crime run rampant on businesses, but you penalize businesses for giving out plastic utensils ahead of time? And not for nothing, but you give a lot of people plastic utensils, for the most part, like people like me, I throw it in my little bin. My plastic utensils bin. That's the prepper bin all of the plastic utensils that we gathered over the years goes in this bin, and it stays there. It's fucking extra shit to have. I mean, but then again, that's the prepper me. Not everybody does the same shit. But these laws, guys, we're going to drive a lot more businesses out of New York City. And of course, fuck them, right? Now, let's get to the meat and potatoes of today's live stream, if you will. So, California lab run by Chinese biotech firm was found in California. Now, I saw this story popping up all over the place, especially all over Instagram. I'm watching the story pop up, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, all right, what's the big deal? Now, my buddy puts me on to this, and I don't, not that I don't see the problem. I see the problem. I don't care, and I don't care enough. But he was more concerned about it, and he pointed out a couple things that were concerning. And I was like, you know what? let me talk about it real quick. So, Prestige Biotech, it's a medical company out of China that operated in a legal laboratory in California where where they had bioengineered and infected almost 1,000 mice with diseases like HIV, E. coli, malaria, and COVID-19. Now, interestingly enough, guys, malaria. We just had an outbreak in Florida. Then we have an outbreak of leprosy, right? Though leprosy wasn't found in this lab. The undercover lab was discovered in a warehouse in Reedley, California, had a when a garden hose was found to be illegally attached to the building. I can't imagine being an inspector and going, "That's illegal. Let's go look at it." There's more to this story. I don't believe for a hot second that that was their tip off, a garden hose. Like, not at all. Unless California is super strict with it and somebody can school me on that, I doubt very much a building inspector saw a hose illegally attached to the building and said, let's go look this up. I doubt that very much. Anyway, there was a special room that was built housing 1,000 white lab mice. Now, guys, bioengineered mice in labs are a thing. It's not, it's a natural thing in the biolab world, in biotech companies. One of my son's mother works for a biotech company. And when asking her about mice, and lab mice to be exact, different lab mice are grown for different reasons. So this is not anything alarming or new that there were bioengineered lab mice or mice in it. So people are like, but they were bioengineered. They all are. Every single mouse that's in a lab, and especially a biolab, are bioengineered, and they're bioengineered and they're coded for different uses. And I didn't know this until she told me about it. But anyway, okay. So the city manager, Nicole Ziba, told the local news, "This is an unusual situation. I have been in government for 25 years. I've never seen anything like this." That doesn't mean anything. According to the officials, at least 200 mice were found dead, and the remainders were euthanized by the county. Now, at the end of the article, they say the mice were humanely euthanized. They're mice, man. If you stepped on them or threw them against the wall, it doesn't fucking matter. They're rodents, they're fucking disease-filled, whatever it is. But to sit there and make animal activists feel comfortable that these mice were killed humanely. They put them to sleep as they read them the story of Ben, the mouse who befriended a human. And they read the story to these mice as they euthanized them to sleep. Who the fuck cares? They're like giant cockroaches with tails. Anyway, Prestige Biotech, was the largest creditor of the now defunct med tech company Universal MedTech and took control of it following bankruptcy. The Chinese-run company did not have any license to operate in California, but they had a license to operate somewhere else. My buddy was telling me where they were. It was another state that they were allowed to operate in. I think Arizona, some shit like that. Wang Xingping, now his name's not Xingping, I think it's like Zylo or Xiaoling, sorry, a spokesman for Prestige Biotech told the San Joaquin Valley Sun that the mice were genetically engineered to catch and carry COVID virus. Yes, guys, these mice are, again, bioengineered for different diseases and different testing, right? So, Willard was not a great film. Oh my God, Willard was a fucking horrible movie. Ugh. Ugh. And the crazy shit is, I'd rather watch Willard than Ratpocalypse, but Willard was a fucking... And maybe because I try to compare it to Ben is why it was a bad movie, but whatever. Sorry about that. So, guys, according to Xi Jinping, or Wang Lo, or Wang Chung, whatever the fuck his name is, the court documents further show that the Center for Disease Control, CDC, conducted tests on more than 800 chemicals found on site, and that over 20 of them were infectious agents that were found at the site. including Hep B, C, some kind of pneumonia, streptococcus pneumonia, chlamydia, rubella, and herpes. Now, rubella is an interesting one, and so is malaria. Those are two interesting ones, considering rubella, everybody's given that as a immunization, and most of us are immunized against it. So unless they're weaponizing chlamydia and rubella and herpes 1 and 5. So they had hepatitis B and C, and they had herpes 1 and 5. I don't know what herpes 1 and 5 is, but I know what chlamydia, rubella, malaria, and pneumonia is, and hepatitis B and C. They must be weaponizing these if they're working on them. Why would they be working on something that already has a vaccine unless they're trying to create another stronger arm ticket? I doubt it very much. I think they were going to weaponize these. Anyway, an investigation into the Reedley warehouse uncovered a large-scale illegal medical lab complete with bioengineered mice, infectious agents, and nearly 30 refrigerators and freezers, some which were non-operational incubators. Some which were non-operational, and they also had incubators and more, leaving officials shocked and the public worried. I don't think the public's worried. I don't think the public gives a fuck. I think they can, I seriously don't give a shit. Until something happens, then you drop the hammer on China. But you think they're going to drop the hammer on China? No. This is the problem. There's going to be no repercussions with this. Because we watched a balloon fly over this country, no repercussions, right? Other than it being shot down. You have an illegal lab by a Chinese company here in this country operating in a state that they weren't supposed to operate in, and there's going to be no repercussions because apparently everybody's scared of Russia. China. Also found with thousands of vials, which many contain biohazardous material, including human blood and an other unknown substance. The unknown substance is what caught my eye. What was it? Well, it's unknown. Maybe they know what it is and they're not telling us. That's the thing about articles today, guys, when they're written. You got to read between the lines of some of these things. Like, again, the hose attached to the building illegally. I'm supposed to believe that that's what caught their attention. And then the unknown substance, they know what the fuck it is. They don't want to tell us what it is. And whatever that unknown substance is was probably something bad and something that they don't really want to scare the public with. But anyway, guys, that was this is a very interesting situation, but I don't think anything's going to happen from it. Now, my friend Richard made a great point. If there is one biolab that's running illegally in this country, that means, guys, there's got to be more going on throughout the country, right? Some fucking shithole in Brooklyn somewhere, there's probably a lab there. Some fucking, bumblefuck town in the middle of America, there's probably one there, right? Though labs like this would be spotted easily in the Midwest because there's not a lot of Chinese folks out there, but you can definitely get away with it in a bigger city like Detroit, New York, maybe some places in Texas, right? But you won't be able to get away with it in like fucking Oshkosh, Wagosh, fucking, Oklahoma, right? So, though, again, it's a problem. It's a problem, and it's going unchecked, and unfortunately, nothing's going to come of this. They're going to wag their finger at China. China's going to apologize a million times, or China's going to come up with the excuse that, well, we can operate where we want kind of bullshit, and then they're going to have to shut them down. So, that's a problem. Now, moving right along, last article of the day, cancer-killing pill that annihilates tumors hailed as the Holy Grail breakthrough. Now, I'm only talking about this because if this medication is real, if this is something good, it's going to be shut down. We're not going to see it. So just remember this article, or remember me talking about this article, because I don't think we're going to see this. Anyway, scientists have developed a Holy Grail molecule that kills all solid cancer tumors, leaving healthy cells unaffected. The team at the City of Hope, one of the largest cancer research and treatment organizations in the U.S., made the breakthrough against the proliferating cell nuclear agent, PCNA protein, In a mutated form, the pCNA is critical in DNA replication and repair of all expanding tumors. But a molecule developed by the team, AOH 1996, targets and kills the mutated pCNA. Again, pCNA is, I hope I said it right, proliferating cells nuclear antigen. Sorry. Now, previously, pCNAs were thought too challenging to be a target for therapy, but preclinical research shows that the AOH 1996 seems to annihilate all solid tumors without affecting any other body cells. So this, if this is real, this is going to beat chemotherapy, right? The team is continuing to investigate the mechanism that makes the cancer-stopping pill work in animal trials. They just should say animal trials instead of animal models, while phase 1 clinical trial test is also ongoing in humans. Okay, so they are testing it on humans as we speak. However, it is not yet known if the drug will continue to be taken in pill form once fully developed and approved for use. The new therapy is the result of a 20-year research and development. 20 years research and development. Not 9 months, not 8 weeks, not 2 days. 20 years. And this is pretty good. And it's named after Anna Olivia Healy, AOH, a young girl born in 1996 who unfortunately was not able to beat cancer. No shit. So they named the study after her. Pretty good. But guys, like I said, do yourself a favor. Keep abreast of this, because if this thing does work, we're not going to hear about it. This has been 20 years in the making. I found this article on Reddit. Why haven't we seen this article all over the place? So clearly, there's an agenda. Clearly, there's an agenda behind this, right? Because we should be hearing about this, because I've heard of other cancer treatments that work, and I've heard about them 5, 6, 7 years ago, and nothing moving forward. Yes, I Am Legend does come to mind, but they've been testing this for about a year now. In humans for about a year. So we haven't seen anything yet. So that's a good thing. But you're right, in I Am Legend, they were testing it, and like weeks later, this shit started unfolding. But still, guys, they're not altering DNA, and that was the problem in I Am Legend. They were altering DNA, and that's why that happened. Here, they're just destroying tumor cells, right? Never look back in 9 months. So 20-year research for this. And of course, people are going to be a little more open to this because this is 20 years of research and not 9 months. Right? So just imagine that. Anyway, guys, that was pretty much all that there is for today. Tomorrow, I'll be going on live. I think that's it. So you guys will see me tomorrow at 9 o'clock and 10:10 or 10:05. I make it 10:10 to give myself, wiggle room. Randy, I don't think if the FDA approves this, I'll be floored. Because the FDA doesn't approve anything that helps us. If you look at natural medications, if you look at essential oils, there are studies on essential oils that have reversed a lot of, smaller problems, like skin conditions and toothaches and things like that. They don't want to look at that. But they will sit there and a drug that took 9 months to make, or a subject that took 9 months to make, they'll approve that like that. But you got shit, guys, like vitamins. The FDA, none of the vitamins out there are FDA approved. None of them. And though a lot of them have backed research for years on how it can work, like niacin and NAC, right? Those pills have multiple studies. Vitamin D, D3, B12, B complex. All of these have studies, and they don't want to look at those studies and see how they work. But they'll take a study for 2 months and go, oh, I like those results in 2 months, right? Instead of looking at the long-term effects. Flow grown. The lab might burn down. You know what? You're right. I wouldn't be surprised if it caught on fire, But yeah, whatever. At this point, guys, I don't see China getting in trouble for it at all. because they get away with a lot of shit. Anyway, guys, that being said, I will talk to you guys later. Epoch's Charm just released a article on the black market, what you call it. This should be interesting. All right, let's go over this real quick before I go off the air. So this article is by Epic Time or Epoch Time. Black Market Lab uncovered in linked to China. In California, linked to China. Secret Chinese-owned Biolab, thousands of vials, bacterial viral agents, including chlamydia, E. coli, streptococcus pneumonia, if I'm saying that right, HIV, hepatitis, herpes, rubella, and malaria were uncovered in this lab. This raises serious concern about biosecurity here in this country. We went over that, right? Investigation involving the city, county, state, and the CDC is involved right now. FBI are all on alert, and they're in the alarmed residents in a small California city about 25 miles southeast of Fresno. The lab at 800 I Street, so they gave the address, operated by Prestige Biotech, is believed to produce COVID-19 and pregnancy test kits, and nearly housed 1,000 mice. Now remember, 200 of them were dead, so there were only 800 that were found alive. So yes, the fire department was also involved. You're right, I could see this burning down, because now this is starting to gain traction. All of a sudden it's going to go kaput. Because obviously, guys, if the Chinese are involved, the Chinese have the United States in their back pocket, this can definitely burn down. Some fucking, hit team or wash team or whatever the fuck they call them are going to come and clean this shit out. So, in addition to medical devices such as COVID-19 and pregnancy tests, certain rooms of the warehouse were found to contain several vessels of liquid and various apparatus. That's interesting. Fresno's County Public Health staff also observed blood, tissue, and other bodily fluid samples and serum. Thousands of vials of unlabeled fluid and suspected biological material in the vials. After testing the substance, 20 of them were infectious agents, like I said before, including COVID, HIV, malaria, hepatitis, and herpes. Nearly 1,000 mice were found in the facility. 200 were found dead in the cage. When inspectors arrived on scene, some mice appear to have attacked each other, which happens when rodents are forced to live in overcrowded cages and inhumane conditions. They're fucking mice. Give it up with this inhumane bullshit. They were under a lot of duress. Oh my God. Cue the violence, guys. Cue the violence. The mice were under duress. Oh my God. Played fucking, what's the name? My Heart Will Go On bullshit. The Titanic song for these fucking mice. Anyway, veterinarians who inspected the facility stated that the mice did not look sick and authorized nearly 800 of these rodents to be humanely euthanized and incinerated in April. This happened back in April, and we're just hearing about this now. So apparently, this happened in April. We are in August, and we're hearing about this now. The story broke yesterday, I think, right? August 1st or July 29th or whatever it was. But she said that the bodies of 5 male and 5 female mice were preserved in a refrigerator evidence locker at the Fresno Police Department. None of the mice, including the samples, have been tested for Mr. 19 antibodies because there hasn't been any concern with the testing at this point. I find that interesting. What I find interesting, guys, is maybe if we start seeing an uptick in something, these mice were... Now, keep in mind, guys, you can't release these mice into the wild. These are lab-grown mice. They only know the lab. They're not going to survive 2 days in a sewer system or out in the wild. They'll die. They're reliant on the system, therefore they can't survive on their own. Although each report indicates the lab mice were genetically engineered or bioengineered to catch and carry Mr. 19, Mr. Harp said the information is misleading. She said there's no evidence to suggest that Mr. 19 experiments have occurred at the Ridley facility, suggested that if the mice were carrying antibodies, that they were likely injected with the virus in Fresno. There's no signs that they've been doing any form of experimentation on the mice here at the facility. So Miss Harper is already standing up for this lab, for Prestige Biotech. So she's already fucking in their pockets, trying to make it look like, trying to downplay a lot of this shit. Now, she could be right, but when you start downplaying this shit now, even though this is kind of old, hold on. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure I was still on. So, yes, 200 were dead in the cage. It was overcrowding, inconvenient conditions. The place looked like a shit show, apparently. They had all kinds of boxes and shit there. It looked like a fucking junkyard. This looked like no testing facility I've ever seen. It looked like a prepper's poorly kept garage. Um, if I could share the photo, I would, but I can't. Oh wait, maybe I can. Oh, maybe I was able to. Hold on. Let's do some technological shit. Rats can't eat the mice, Garrett. Yes, rats will eat mice, and that's why they won't last long. And no one knows whether or not they will. So this is what the facility, one part of the facility, looked like. I'm a little fucking surprised, actually. It looks like a shithole, man. Like, who the fuck kept this place? Like, I was a Chinese ambassador for this biotech company. I would fire every motherfucker who was in charge of this thing. It looks like a shit show. Oh, check this out. After an electrical fire caused extensive damage at the leased Fresno facility, a beleaguered company facing financial setback and threatened eviction relocated to Redley. One of two businesses leasing a facility in Reedley, agreed to sublease a vacant warehouse to the Prestige Biotech. These fucking people, man. I tell you, they're going to get away with this shit. They're going to get away with this. That's just as simple as that. The company that I'm aware of is Prestige, and they had a leasing agreement to rent here, but they were previously Universal Meditech or Medtech. They had boxes. They had boxed everything up, came to Ridley, and so they were not actually operating in Ridley, she said, and it's prior that they moved their inventory here. So they moved their mice, their equipment, but they didn't operate here. Again, they're already covering up for these people. The material included pregnancy tests and Mr. 19 kits. Some testing kits were in Fresno, yada, yada, yada. But why were they handing out pregnancy tests? That's like odd. That's like two odd things to fucking have your company operate with. Pregnancy tests and Mr. 19 kits. That doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, public record shows the company first registered in Nevada. That's where they were, not Arizona, Nevada. To Zoling Wang in April 3rd, 2019, before Xing Yo, another Chinese man, who was based in China, also operated it. Whatever. Mrs. Harper said she questioned 3 female employees who all spoke Mandarin at their first language at the facility, as well as a man named David, he, and a woman who both said they were consultants for Prestige Biotech. The company hasn't cooperated well with authorities. Of course they wouldn't. And there's an ongoing investigation which results in the abatement warrant of the abatement warrant, Ms. Harper said. It appears that the Reedley facility was primarily an interim facility used primarily for storage, while the company looked for another location back in the Fresno area. I'm calling bullshit on this. Pregnancy test for mice. Probably, because that's fucking weird. And then it goes on to talk about public fears and how people are scared. And again, guys, I can care less. This is bullshit. Sounds like bullshit. Again, nothing's going to happen. I don't think anything's going to be released out of here. I think this is just to take our eye off the other bullshit like the Epstein client list. They want us to focus on everything else but the Epstein client list. All right? And they want us to focus on climate change, but not the Epstein client list. Again, guys, a lot of bullshit's going on. And interestingly enough, I came into not an article, but a video. And we all learned this when we were in school. But climate change is inherently being done on purpose, if you believe in it, right? So, though they want to go after cows, though they want to go after our food productions and not the giant fucking factories in other countries like in Ukraine, Russia, Iran, Iraq, India, China, you name them, they got giant fucking facilities out there pumping shit into the atmosphere. So now we have all of this going on. They want to take our animals, our food away. They want to take cars away. They want us to have to eat bugs, right? And then eat bio meat, cultivated meat. But they keep cutting trees down. Trees handle carbon emission. They take care of carbon by turning it into oxygen, filtering it out, and then turning it into oxygen. But they keep cutting trees down to put solar panels up and fields of solar panels. Forests are being decimated all over the world to put more housing, but then they turn around and go, oh, look, carbon emissions going up. And we have to do something about it. We have to get rid of cars. What about leaving the cars alone? What about leaving the cows alone? What about planting more trees? Now, adult trees are the only trees that are able to filter out and handle carbon emission. Young trees don't. So we would still have to wait, I don't know, depends on the trees, anywhere between 5 to 20 years, right, till they become an adult. But yeah, I think it's being forced upon us. Not that we're doing it, but it's actually being done on purpose. But anyway, that was like an off fucking side note about the bullshit. But yeah, guys, yes, they're also trying. Thank you, Daryl. They're also trying to keep us distracted with the UFOs, right? And UFOs. Jeffrey Epstein's client list. Let's see that. Let's see who's on that list. But the problem is, if we let it go, if we keep being distracted like fucking retards, yeah, they're gonna fucking win this. We want to know who's on the client list so we know who we can go after immediately. And Firefly Farms, yes, I did see the moon last night. I did catch it a little higher than I wanted to, but I was told that when it was coming up over the horizon, it was super big. But I'm going to put my pictures of the moon that I took last night with my camera on the Angry Lensman Media on Instagram. So it's Angry Lensman Media on Instagram. I'm going to put the moon pictures up there today. They look pretty fucking cool. I wish I would have caught it when it was a lot closer. Anyway, guys, with that being said, I'm going to go off the air now. I ran this a little longer than I wanted to. But, yeah. The Wuhan, July 29th, we posted on social media. Question in the legal lab. All right, sorry. Just got sidetracked. Anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow night at 9 and hopefully 10 o'clock. And thank you for joining me. Thank you for the donations, if there was any. And thank you for dealing with my bullshit. Have a good day, guys.